when you're struggling, you're like brothers. You're in the when you're all of us are broke. Everyone is broke and everyone is struggling. There's so much love and bonding. It's not funny. You're constantly together. You're constantly jamming. You're constantly doing things. The minute you start seeing a little bit of fame, a little bit of money, and you start, you get that kind of reaction. People start recognizing you, and that's when the trouble starts. I got introduced to music really, really early in life. There was a small period during which I was in between boarding school and staying at home, and there was a short period when I was staying with my uncle and aunt, and they had three sons. The youngest one, his name is Neeraj. I hope he's watching. He used to play guitar in a band, and I think he was around 18. I must have been 7 or 8 years old, and I used to sneak uh, into his room and tinker around with the guitar. And one day he came back and he saw me playing his guitar, and he gave me a nice scolding. And his one of his friends was with him. I even remember his friend's name. Yeah, it's almost 42 years ago, but it's like a picture. It's really, really clear in my head. His name was Manu. So he said, "Man, he seems to be, playing some decent stuff, even though he doesn't know how to play. So why don't you teach him?" And I remember playing "Smoke on the Water" on one string. So my cousin said, "Okay, let's give it a shot." So he showed me the way it's supposed to be played. So I got exposed to all of this music way before many of my friends had even heard that music. I'm talking about when I was in my second grade. And I think that helped me a lot. And it set the path in which, and obviously guitar was something which was at home, not mine, but soon enough I got a guitar, and I started playing, and with a little bit of help from my cousin, and he taught me stuff. And ever since I've been self-taught. I used to play the second lead or the rhythm guitar with a band called Tall Fatins. I think this was 86 to 90. And I learned a lot from the guy whose band it was. He was a lead guitar player, and he used to also compose songs. And I learned a lot of stuff there: how to record, how to play in time, how to play on a metronome, and more importantly, I learned the rigor of rock music. The understanding that impact is important. Playing in time is important, and one day he asked me, there's one small section I'd like you to play a solo, and I didn't know what to play. So I went back and I thought about it, and then I started. I tried to play some stuff out of muscle memory, but it wasn't getting me anywhere. So I sang what I wanted to play. I sang it out and I emulated that on the guitar, and that was probably my first composition. I think we turned 14 now in May. It's been a crazy ride. I mean, the way Agnee started was literally on a phone call. One fine day, I called up Mohan, who's my partner in Agnee, and we weren't even planning to start a band. So I called up. I said, you want to start a band or what? Because I miss going back on stage. So he said, come on, let's do it. So he said, so who's going to play drums? Who's going to play? So I said, we'll ask Lindsay DeMello and JD for bass, So I called up. I said, hold on, let me call them. So I called up Lindsay. I said, I'm starting a band. Will you play drums? He said, yeah, sure, man. Then I called up JD. I asked him, will you play bass? He said, who's playing drums? I said, Lindsay just said yes. He said, if Lindsay's on, I'm on. And that was it. This entire conversation happened in 3 minutes and Agnee was formed. No songs, nothing ready. We formed the band on the phone. And I was in a parking lot leaning against my car and making these calls. And that's what happened. And 1 month later, we were in the studio recording demos. One month after that, we had a record deal from Sony. And that was it. I mean, it just happened. There was no real struggle story. There was no struggle. There was it just all fell in place. It just all came together. So yeah, that's how the band started. And then of course, once recordings and once we released the music, which got released almost 8 months after we had finished recording. And that waiting was horrible. We kept waiting when Sony will release and when that came out, we thought that we're going to become, there's some 2 or 3 videos, and we thought we were going to become an overnight success. We started with the song Sadhore, which was shot. It was a big video, big budget, shot with some really star DOPs and stuff like that. Lakshman Utekar, who had at that time just shot the film Blue. It was an underwater film. He's won many awards. So it was a very well shot video. And we thought it's going to be a runaway success. And nothing happened for an entire year. We only went and played promotional shows at malls and stuff like that. So major reality check happened. We did not get called for any shows. In fact, our record label was even supposed to manage us. And they got us 0 shows. The number of shows we played were 4 or 5. And those 2 were in malls, just to promote, and they weren't really paid shows. And so, music video, big launch, all of that, nothing worked. And over a period of time, and I think that's the case with independent music. Although this was released in a mainstream manner, I think rock music, indie rock, independent rock, and Indian rock, it has its own growth path, And I think Sadhore became a popular song around 3 or 4 years after it was released. And the shows started slowly coming in, second or third year onwards. The idea was to stick together. I remember even meeting Rahul Ram once, and had gone for one of his, from Indian Ocean, bass player, singer. And they had come to Pune for a concert, and it was a full house. It was crazy. I mean, the kind of crowd and the way the crowd was responding to them. And I remember him speaking to Mohan and me, and he said, I don't know what's flipped, but we've suddenly become very popular. I mean, everyone seems to know our songs. I don't know what flipped. We kept doing the same thing for so many years, nothing. And now suddenly we're all over the place. So, there's certain things which are unexplained, I think the people who listen to this kind of music fetch us out, and by the time word percolates to people, and then they think that, okay, this is a cool band, or this is nice music, or have you heard this? It's word of mouth. I don't know what it is, but it just took its own sweet time, and then suddenly we were headlining acts and traveling business and doing all the stuff that we thought we'd do as soon as we released the album, but it never happened. I mean, like the way I work now, with all this gear around me, and there's no bouncing board. But when we try out a song idea with the entire band around, which doesn't happen often because we all lead very, very busy lives, and most of the musicians who work with me also play in other bands and stuff like that. So getting everyone together by itself is a big deal. But when we do actually, the contributions which come in, from other members of the band, they really help making the song a lot richer. Coming from, I know that there's that saying that too many cooks spoil the broth, but sometimes what happens is it's a very, very small idea. So you when you said Avengers, that song Hello Andhero, the chorus was actually the melody of that chorus was actually a bass solo which our bass player Among Jamir used to play. That's what he used to play. And subconsciously, we ended up using that as the main line. I mean, without realizing it. And after we had composed the song, we said, oh hell, this is Among's part which he used to play in his solo. So that the Suraj Duba Ja Raha, that was Among's solo. That made it to the so that's how contributions within the band happen, and it happens in a very organic way, because when it's drums, I can program the drums, but if a drummer plays, he's going to add a different energy to the song from what I'm going to program here on a computer. But when Rishi, our drummer, plays something, I would have never thought of that kind of technology spoiled us. Now, everything that needed to be done with so many people, I remember doing a film score in 1994 where I did this in the South, and I had 45 musicians coming there and playing, reading sheet music, and it was a fantastic experience. But today all I need is my MacBook, and I have all the VSTs there, and I don't need those 45 musicians anymore, because I can just sit here and program everything on the keyboard. I don't even need to play a proper keyboard, piano style keyboard. I do everything with this mouse. It's so technology has kind of spoiled us. So probably the organic element which happens with more number of musicians coming together, I think that's not happening anymore. These big time producers now, they even bring in a certain amount of latency in there, a human error into their programming, because a machine is going to be perfect. So they add that little bit of human error to create a human error to make it sound natural. So it can be countered. So if you business guys that you all are studying business, study the music business the way it is done overseas or here or whatever, and figure out a way in which it it actually, if it can be done across the world, it can be done here. And I'm talking about only music. I'm not talking about the music industry which is supported by the film industry. The film industry is where, you know, the concentration is, and the music industry is actually supporting the film industry. So I'm talking about independent music. So if there is a way, we need to find it. The primary primary element is that the person that you may have a screaming match with, or a disagreement with, do you respect that person's opinion? And I personally respect Mohan's opinion a lot. You know, I may not agree with him on certain things, but I respect his opinion and I respect his musical genius. So that somehow, you know, somewhere that sorts the entire situation out. It never goes to a gridlock. There are times when, you know, I back down on certain things or he backs down on certain things, and we put it together. And most importantly, we've told ourselves one thing, that the song is king. So I'm talking about those times versus today. You know, most bands in those times used to play only covers and only international music. Today, all bands play then their own original music. Everyone has their own music. I mean, today cover bands are sort of not looked at with the same respect as a band which plays originals. So, and independent music, independent musicians is where it all comes from. Some of our biggest music directors from the Bollywood, as you call it, the Indian film industry, they all come from the same background. You name it, Vishal Dadlani, A.R. Rahman, all these guys were independent musicians. They were rock musicians. They all come from the same, you know, breed, as to, I mean, if you can call them that. So, and the current thing is the very fact that the audience is ready. They are very much ready to listen to stuff which independent musicians are putting out.